About a month ago, my wife sat me down and told me she'd been having an affair with her coworker. 10 months. He's 15 years younger than her. It made me think the whole thing was like some midlife cliche I never thought we'd be part of. We've had our share of problems over the years. We fought too much. She'd hold on to resentment. I'd shut down when things got tense. We'd go in circles. That's why we were in marriage counseling, to break the cycle. The whole time I thought we were talking about communication issues, she was sleeping with him on her night shifts. She never worked the night shifts before, but around a year ago, she suddenly wanted to do 4 nights a month, saying she can't advance in career without them. Turned out the night shifts were a cover so they could bang at his apartment. I'd had a gut feeling something was off. She started dressing differently for work. She kept her phone face down, and a few times I caught her smiling at the phone. I started paying more attention to her schedule, her mileage on the car. Little inconsistencies that kept adding up. I didn't have proof yet, but she knew I was on to her, which was what I think even caused her to admit it. When she finally told me, she said it was over and had been for weeks. I can't know if that's true, but if the stories on this subreddit are a testimony, I doubt it's true. I knew in that moment there was no going back to what we had. The only reason I didn't file right then was because of our children, and a couple of people I trust suggested maybe I hear her out before I decided. She agreed to the obvious stuff. No contact with him ever again. Full transparency on her phone, location, messages. I told her I'd have other conditions if we tried to move forward. Full info on him, STD testing, a post-nup that waives spousal support and keeps my retirement separate. It didn't take long to confirm what I already suspected. One weekend I asked to see her phone, just to check she'd actually cut contact. I know my way around text, so it didn't take long to find the app they'd been using. The second she saw what I was looking at, she grabbed the phone out of my hands. I didn't even need to open it. That reaction told me everything I needed to know. After that incident, she moved in with her dad and took the kids with her. I see them a few times a week. They come running into my arms when they see me, and it kills me when they leave. Meanwhile, she still calls and texts, saying she finally understands how much I mean to her, how she's willing to do anything. I tell her the same thing every time. It's too late. We've been meeting with a counselor once a week just to keep co-parenting civil. Through some digging, I learned more than she ever told me. He was a part-timer who joined the company recently. She was apparently in a mentor position to him, not his direct supervisor, but anyway in a position of power over him. Their shifts spilled over into late-night drinks, then into his apartment a couple blocks from the office. Now my focus is on moving forward. I'm not interested in dissecting her feelings anymore. I've got a job that's been rocky lately, kids who need stability, and a future that doesn't involve someone who'd risk everything for a fling with a guy who'll be out of her life before the ink is dry on the divorce papers. Any advice or suggestions on how to proceed are welcome. Update: it's been just over 2 years since the divorce was finalized, and my life is nothing like it was when I first found out about the affair. I'm single. The kids are with me 50% of the time, and honestly, they're thriving. They don't even try to hide that they hate going over to their mom's parents' place, where my ex has been living in their basement since the divorce. They can't stand the lack of privacy, the cramped space, and the constant feeling like they're just visiting someone else's life and not actually a part of it. I keep my mouth shut about it, but I can tell it eats at her when they say they'd rather stay with me. People sometimes ask how I managed to get such a clean split financially, and the truth is, I played the long game. After D-Day, I pretended to work on the marriage. I kept my head down, absorbed every bit of gaslighting, and let her think she was in control. She insisted I was the problem, so I went to individual counseling. I did it for me, but I also let her believe it was proof I was fixing myself because she said I was a broken, paranoid mess. Meanwhile, she was back on night shifts and, as I eventually found out, back in contact with the same AP. I didn't confront her about it. I'd already learned the hard way that her default move was to deny, deflect, or twist things until I questioned my own sanity. Over the months, I got my finances in order. I pushed for the post-nup, and she signed it. So no alimony, and my retirement is untouched. She didn't think much of it at the time because she was convinced I had no plans to leave. Once my ducks were in a row, I filed. She didn't see it coming, and the shock on her face that day is something I'll probably remember forever. Her lawyer tried to have the post-nup thrown out, claiming it was unfair to the children if their mother didn't receive alimony. The judge practically barked at him in open court and told him to shut it. My ex didn't take that well. She said if I loved her half as much as I professed during our marriage counseling, I'd never want to see her suffer financially. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her that I told Love her AP scraps. Now my life's quiet, peaceful. I've got my own place after the sale of our house. We split the money from the sale, and I have no idea what she did with her money because my kids tell me she's living super rough. The kids have been doing great. My oldest just got into their dream college on a partial scholarship. We went to the open house last month. He didn't want his mom there. I respected that and went without her. When she found out, she lost it. She accused me of alienating them and even threatened to sue for some kind of parental rights violation, which was ridiculous since she can't even afford an apartment. She's still making noise about how unfair everything folded. I'm not sure if she's still seeing the AP or not, and I couldn't care less. I doubt that young thing wanted this cougar for the long haul anyway. I'm in a much better place than I was after D-Day. I've got my life back. I don't spend my nights wondering where she is. I don't wake up to fights over nothing, and I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells in my own home so as not to set her off and get her in one of her moods. The kids and I have stability here. That's all that matters. Comments. Well, isn't it good that you got what you wanted out of the divorce? But it's disturbing how much you're patting yourself on the back for playing the long game. That's still a form of deception, isn't it? You basically stayed in the marriage pretending to reconcile just so you could secure a legal advantage. I'm not saying what she did wasn't wrong. She clearly betrayed you. But dragging things out and letting your kids live in limbo for your own strategy isn't exactly a Sigma male move, in my opinion. I get it. You're hurt and angry. But there's a fine line between protecting yourself and taking pride in watching your ex get humiliated. It's not a great look, especially if your kids are picking up on that energy, whether you realize it or not. Man, respect. You played it smart. Too many guys get taken to the cleaners because they react instead of plan. You didn't give her any ammo, and you made sure your kids were protected before pulling the plug. That's how you handle a cheater who thinks she's running the show. Glad to hear the judge wasn't buying her lawyer's nonsense. Enjoy your peace. You have earned it. Your ex was clearly in the wrong, but I have to wonder how different things could have been if you'd confronted her about the night shifts and affair instead of letting it go so you could file on your terms. It sounds like you were more focused on getting out ahead financially than on actually saving the marriage.